Well, let's start in Spain, where at least 95 people have died in flash floods that have devastated parts of the south and east of the country. Rescuers are still searching for the missing after mudslides and torrents of water swept away bridges and left cars piled up on each other. Parts of the Valencia region received a year's worth of rain in just 8 hours. The Spanish government has declared 3 days of national mourning. Bethany Bell has this report.
These floods are being described as one of the worst natural disasters in Spain's recent history. Rescue workers are struggling to find the missing. Officials say it's not clear how many people are still unaccounted for. Some places can only be reached by helicopter. Hundreds of soldiers have been deployed to help with the rescue effort. In some areas, more than a year's worth of rain fell in just a few hours.
Never before in history has there been so much rain. Can't even imagine the amount of rain that fell here yesterday.
It is a catastrophe. The floods we had in 1982, when I was 10 years old, were a joke compared to what happened here yesterday.
In Valencia, the floods caused havoc in the district of La Torre.
The river is some distance behind me, but the water must have risen up over the embankment and rushed down this street, lifting cars up off the ground. And everywhere you look, there's stinky, sticky brown mud.
Some local officials have complained that the flood warnings came too late. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez said those affected would not be abandoned, but he warned the crisis was not yet over. He extended his condolences to those who'd lost their loved ones. The whole of Spain weeps with you, he said. Their fears the death toll will rise still further. 3 days of mourning have been declared. Bethany Bell, BBC News, Valencia.
Well, let's speak to our correspondent Nikki Schiller, who's in Valencia for us. Nikki, so some bleak news that there is concern that the death toll may rise further. Tell us about the situation where you are.
Yes, Lakshmi. So I am in the La Torre area of Valencia, and you can see behind me there is just a pile of cars. Now, this goes on probably for about 200 metres. Shows you the force of the water that was here because they are all smashed up. You can just see CDs on the top of the windscreen here where they've come. All through this area, about 2 kilometres we've walked, there have been these cars in the road. And one of the locals was telling me that they had about 1.5 metres of water. And you can see that because here on the wall is the level of where the water reached. And in this area, not only are there the cars, but there is also all of this mud that is on the floor and debris. And the locals are walking around. You can see them around me. I can only describe it as stunned, and because it is something like out of a disaster movie. We've seen people crying. People have come up to us asking, could they borrow a mobile phone charger because there is no electricity here. But you can just see the level of devastation just in this 1-2 kilometre area of the city. Again, there's a police car there, and you can see it has been caught up in the ferocity of the water that came through this area. And I think what the problem is going to be now is getting help to all of the areas that have been affected by the flooding. Local people here are helping themselves. But for example, I saw a broken water main and people were there filling up bottles of water. They're having to walk into the city centre, which is sort of 5 kilometres, to get supplies because, as you can see, the roads are completely blocked by the debris. Looking down this road, which is here, you can again see here is a dental surgery, and you can see the dental equipment has just been pulled out of that building again. Vehicles just on the side of the road, and that is what is being seen not just here but across the Valencia region, because it has been completely devastated in some areas. As you said, 95 people are known to have died, but the authorities haven't got into all of the areas that were flooded. So, for example, they have towns and villages, some of them have been cut off, and there is a fear that there are still dozens of people missing, and the death toll, when they do eventually get into those areas, could rise. There is some concern amongst the local community about how the authorities reacted to this disaster. So people were talking about how on Tuesday, when the floods happened, the warning was at 8:15 in the evening from the disaster emergencies people, and that was after there had already been flooding in a number of areas, and people said they only had, in some cases, 30 minutes from the initial warning to that torrent of water coming down past their properties. Luxmi.
Nikki, thank you. That's our correspondent Nikki Schiller there.